Read it, boy.
Hey, let's go. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing good. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, but I figured I will watch the God of War review with you guys. So let's get that in.
About time.
Oh, my audio's a bit loud in my headset. I hope it doesn't turn too low for you guys. That should be good.
You think you can come here, become a daddy, get a clean slate? That ain't how it works. You're a destroyer, like me.
How do you follow up on one of the greatest video games of all time? Sony Santa Monica finds itself in a situation not dissimilar to when Francis Ford Coppola created the sequel to his mob movie masterpiece, The Godfather. Like part 2 of the Corleone story, God of War Ragnarok puts a fierce, young...
And answering the question he just asked of how would you follow up one of the best situations, I feel like Sony Santa Monica are pretty much going to do what Naughty Dog was able to do, what Rockstar was able to do, where you just follow up a banger with another banger. And even if that banger, doesn't get compared like story-wise as good, I think in terms of execution, they're going to give us a game that is just as good, if not better, than the original. Kind of like what I would like to use Guerrilla Games and Horizon as an example, where they pretty much better at everything except the storytelling. But in this case, I would trust Sony Santa Monica to also better the storytelling in this example. But yeah, I'll also mute myself just in case my audio is echoing whilst I'm watching this.
member of the family directly under the microscope. In doing so, it manages to reach the heights of its predecessor, and in some ways, even tower above it. The writing, performances, and music are each exceptional, bringing this expansive Norse tapestry to life. But even as it holds your heart in one hand with its elegantly told story, it's crunching bones in the other with fantastically ferocious combat. It all binds together to forge a monumental action epic that adds yet another impressive landmark to the video game landscape.
And I imagine that Thor fight is just going to be as...
You've already taught me this.
Like the Baldur fight.
I need more than that. I need answers. Answers you don't have.
Answers only your mother had.
Keeping things broad and spoiler-free, Kratos' story picks up a few years after the final revelations of 2018's God of War. The apocalyptic Ragnarok is coming, and its events circle around his son Atreus like one of Odin's ravens. Ragnarok wastes no time in stepping into the action, and after a breakneck opening battle, the first step of this new journey is to leave the frozen realm of Midgard behind.
Oh, so you actually do fight at the beginning. So the cliffhanger they left us on at the end of 2018 is right off where this God of War picks up with. But rather than fighting Baldur again this time. And apologies if I'm not looking into the camera. I'm so used to the camera being at the top of my monitor, but I moved it. So right now it's next to my monitor. But yeah, we fought Baldur at the beginning of in God of War 2018, well, God of War 4. And so this one, we're going to start off with that Thor scene, I imagine, or they might give us a little, preamble to slightly what happened before we got to that Thor scene, because they did give us that Thor scene as sort of like a skip ahead at the end of 2018. So that'll be interesting to see how they tackle that one.
And find a missing Norse god in the broader and varied universe. It may not be as tightly a told story as 2018's, but Ragnarok has much grander designs. This is a sprawling epic that always keeps things on the move without ever becoming disorientating, gluing me to the edge of my seat as it repeatedly toyed with expectations. It's an ambition regularly met by stunning execution, with a momentum that never slips as you hurtle towards its bombastic ending. This journey took me just over 28 hours, with a fair few side quests completed along the way, but with plenty still left to do afterwards. Prophecy and sacrifice swirl at the story's centre, as it repeatedly prods at the concept of destiny and whether blood runs thicker than the ink that pens it. It doesn't merely offer up surface level readings of these themes. Instead, each character and their motives are given the respect they deserve by delving in deep. It's a truly special and fittingly grand conclusion of Kratos' Norse saga. Despite being laden with myth and melodrama, there's still plenty of time for welcome pockets of self-aware silliness that almost always elicit a laugh. Whether that be another bizarre dwarven contraption, or the simple thrill of Kratos eating a sausage. When not eating dinner, Kratos' thunderous voice actor Christopher Judge frequently engages in smartly realised dialogue with his equally impressive castmates. Make no mistake though, this is firmly Judge's court, and one he frequently dominates. Kratos' traumatic personal history is reflected in everything from his mournful tone of voice to his appearance.
Atreus! Listen to me.
His Icarus wings are long since clipped, but his complexion is still pale, like a square of wall where a family portrait used to hang. The everlasting cycle of violence between parents and their children has long been a theme.
There we go, there it is, the opening. I'm guessing this is gonna be the opening fight of the damn game. Let's go.
Ever since the original God of War trilogy, although one that was only truly emphasised in 2018's revival. Now it's an inescapable fixture of Ragnarok, an exploration of the rawest and most human of emotions, and what happens when they are channeled through superhuman vessels. Pain leads to anger, anger leads to hate. This is the genesis of the stalking threat embodied by the incomparable force that is a grieving mother. Portrayed incredibly with a newfound fury by Danielle Bisutti, Freya is a striking presence to be reckoned with in the sequel. No longer just a helpful witch in the woods, she's given a whole new spectrum of emotional depth to play in, and Ragnarok is all the better for it. Each character is given their own moments to shine throughout. Sunny Suljic fires back regularly with the sharp teenage tongue of a brasher, more confident Atreus, and Alistair Duncan's severed head accessory Mimir continues to provide levity and exposition in abundance.
Ah, back to smashing through things for fun and profit. Lovely.
Various newcomers to the vastly expanded cast also deliver fantastic performances, with a particular standout being Leia Hayes, radiating infectious energy from the mysterious Angerboda. The foul-mouthed Brok and skittish Sindri provide pockets of humour, as well as a lot of genuinely helpful info along the way, as they play a much more central role in the story this time around. Also returning is composer Bear McCreary, whose score, like the dwarf,
and now we have the whole dwarven realm that they were mentioning in the previous gameplay deep dive as well.
and Smith Brothers goes hammer and tongs from the first moment to the last. There's some truly beautiful music to be heard along the journey, as well as explosions of raw orchestral power during intense fight scenes. Layered writing, impeccable acting, and stunning set design are all crucial aspects in driving God of War's filmic aspirations home, but they're also never let down by the rock-solid technical craftsmanship at work. The one continuous camera shot style of 2018's reboot returns, impressively snaking through the entirety of Ragnarok as if mimicking the world serpent Jormungandr himself.
My goodness, what a strapping physique. Capable of an astounding variety of acts of violence, I imagine.
God of War's combat has always been the flashy attraction that draws a crowd in to be wowed by its story, however, and Ragnarok continues that tradition. Kratos' blades whip around in every direction, delivering a clanking fiery pain to any face they meet.
I wonder if we're
Heavy
going to have
cleaves
the
of his
blades
axe
from
crunch
the
into
beginning.
enemies, making them fold like bloodied origami. And yes, that axe still slices through the air, neatly lodging itself into anything unfortunate enough to be in its path, before being recalled to your palm with what remains one of the most satisfying button presses ever assigned to a controller. It's all unapologetically fast and undeniably glorious, harking back to the brand of frantic action in which the series was originally rooted. But even with that slight shift to old school action, Ragnarok's eyes are still drawn more to the shimmer of Nathan Drake's gold rather than Bayonetta's platinum. Cinematic spectacle takes precedence over the chaotic, bordering on cartoonish action of old. The axe feels largely similar to how you remember, and that's no bad thing with its dynamic mix of heavy attacks and ranged power. But how you wield the blades is noticeably different. There's a greater emphasis on using them to hook enemies and maneuver them around the arena, whether that be dragging them in towards you or juggling them in the air like the hottest of potatoes. They're much closer to how they felt in the original games, a nostalgic moveset with a brilliant modern edge. Both weapons have new tricks to show off too. You can Frost Awaken the axe by holding in the triangle button to power up your next attack, or mash the same button while the blades are equipped to ignite them. Even the shield is now more of an offensive tool, and different types can be bought and crafted to fit your playstyle.
So the fire
Runic
specific
abilities,
to the
special
blades,
cooldown
not-
attacks assigned in your
not
inventory
applicable
also
to the axe, I
return,
imagine?
and while there isn't the same abundance of choice this time around, each is
That's
devastatingly
interesting,
effective.
'cause I thought they were
Brutal
gonna do
finishes on
for
stunned
both,
enemies
but
are another enjoyable
imagine it
throwback
keeps
to
them-
the
it
God
keeps
of
them
War of
separate.
old.
Ooh,
There's
that
noticeably a
gore.
good amount of variety in the
I
randomly
like
enjoyable
that.
throwback.
Oh,
Devastatingly effective.
right
Brutal
back.
finishes on stunned enemies are another enjoyable
Yeah,
throwback
the
to the God of
finishers are
War of
fully
old.
back.
There's noticeably a good amount of variety in the randomly chosen weapon-specific animations too. Movement is further emphasised by the way you can now grapple up from a distance using the blades and launch across gaps to dive into combat. Taller area design literally adds extra layers to battles, allowing you to leap from a ledge to deliver death from above. Combat sequences can feel akin to Doom kill boxes, as you dash and swing around elevated platforms towards your next victim in performances of acrobatic bloodshed, juggling cooldowns, Atreus' arrows, and your rage meter to efficiently and spectacularly destroy everyone sent to stop you. Each fight feels like a real occasion, as you slalom your way through ranged, parryable and unblockable attacks in order to sneak in a hit or two. Enemies can now perform powerful but interruptible attacks, signified by a blue ring above their head in addition to their regular skills. A double tap of the shield will sort these out, but get your timing wrong and you're in line for some considerable pain. There are plenty of other big additions to combat that I won't divulge so as not to ruin the sensation of discovering them yourself, but rest assured, Ragnarok has myriad more tools in its bag than God of War 2018 ever did, and is all the more enthralling for it. It all feels exceptional when in full flow, often mesmerising with its top tier action drenched in rhythmic brutality, and is quite simply the best combat I can remember playing in a game. And that just goes for the regular fights. Boss battles are of both a higher quantity and quality, including one encounter that makes the opening stranger fight from 2018 look like a playground scuffle. It's not just the story bosses either. I fought massive alligator bastards
so they're
called
gonna
Dreki on more
overdrive
than one occasion, which
the
were a real
opening
event to
Baldur
fight and more of a
with the
challenge than
Thor one.
2018's trolls ever posed.
And then we'll
It's
fight
great
him-
to see
probably fight him
sprinklings
again
of
at
that
the end.
old school monster mayhem thrown into the mix, which manages to successfully offset some of the more serious stretches of the story. Smart new puzzle ideas are consistently introduced,
I'm
and building
not
complexity
excited
throughout
for the
as
puzzle.
more abilities are added to your arsenal.
used to
They're often
absolutely
fun
suck
and
at
never in danger of
puzzles, bro.
slowing your progress to the detriment of the plot. But even so, Atreus or Mimir can't help but come in with a hint far too early and sometimes rob you of that satisfying aha moment. It's a very rare annoyance in
but
a
you can
world
always
where
turn
normally
hints
every
off,
last
though.
word is a joy to listen
I
to.
don't know why people get annoyed at the hints thing, because I remember even for Horizon Forbidden West, people were bitching that Aloy used to solve the puzzles for them, but you could turn that off in accessibility, like easiest shit to get rid of that annoyance.
Armor customization has been streamlined, resulting in the removal of the slotting system for a more straightforward upgrading mechanic. Enchantments are now placed inside a separate amulet rather than spread over various pieces of gear. This division makes seeing what you have equipped easier and means you aren't lost delving into too many menus within menus. This also means you can upgrade a piece of armor and take it with you through your journey if your playstyle happens to perfectly click with a certain set, or you just love how it looks. The same goes for weaponry, which can be upgraded as well
That's
as
me.
fitted
I
with
do visual
attachments such as
upgrades.
individually named hilts and handles, each with their own perks and
I always
bonuses.
pick the
Who wouldn't
best
want to play with
looking
the
armor
Stonecutter's knob, after
rather
all?
than the most effective armor. I only switch to the most effective armor when I'm
Realms
like in
old and
boss
new are
fights.
regularly a sight to behold, many looking torn from the pages of fairy tales, stocked with oversized flora and fauna. There's an extra effort to delve deeper into the mythology this time around, and as someone who's a fan of the Nordic
forgot to
source
admit.
material, it's a real pleasure to see all of the different interpretations of creatures, people and places they inhabit brought to life in all manner of delightfully weird ways. For example, the dwarven city of Nidavellir is a welcome rural change of scenery, with its many homes and tunnels that Kratos must amusingly crawl around
dwarven
in. It's at
city
the
is
centre of the
probably
rocky realm
the
of
realm that I'm most
Svartalfheim,
excited
where
for.
waterways weave through islets littered with bubbling geysers. There's a real sense that this realm was ripped right out of
maybe
the
the
Old
snow
Norse
realm,
poetic
now that
Edda's
we
home
can
of Iceland.
traverse it
Those
with-
geysers are also key to solving
with
many of the
the
puzzles
wolf
in the
sleigh
region,
thing.
as you freeze them to create stepping stones and manipulate machinery. Quirks like this help in making each place feel unique, Similarly, fun ideas are introduced in the returning Alfheim, such as reflective crystals that you can ricochet your axe off of to open doors, or even use to blindside unwitting opponents in combat. It's a further example of not only each realm looking distinct, but also feeling distinct to play in from one another. Every location almost feels like a puzzle box that you're gradually unlocking through a combination of brain and brawn as you make your way through it. These worlds bring with them dangerous new threats. If there are any faults to be found in 2018's revival, then modest enemy variety may well have been one of them. However, there is no such issue in Ragnarok, with its bestiary vastly expanded to accommodate all
so they
sizes
gave us
and
a
shapes of
larger
creatures.
variety of
Familiar
enemies
foes
this
such
time.
as Draugr and elves have made their way across, but this time they're joined by creatures like Grimms, which, you guessed it, are pretty grim, scuttling toad people. Then there's a personal favourite, the Einherjar, Aesir warriors who harness the power of the Bifrost that makes a section of your health bar glow before removing that chunk on the next hit. There's an engaging but never unfair difficulty curve throughout as you're met with progressively greater threats.
That's dope. I like that they added a lot more variety. Because yeah, in 2018, that's one thing.
Side missions are sometimes spectacles in their own right. They're a
just
great
loaded
source
us
of
with
character
trolls
development as you learn more
instead
about your
of
friends and
giving us a
companions by
variety of
helping them
bosses.
right past wrongs. Some side quests do just present a pure gameplay challenge over extra stories, however, such as hunting down powerful legendary enemies dotted across the realms of Yggdrasil's roots. There is no shortage of genuinely tough side boss encounters either. Chipping away at larger health bars is a really satisfying challenge, and remarkably well balanced against the standard quick kill nature of the majority of Ragnarok's fights. It's yet another testament to the masterful combat design on display. And yes, there are some absolutely tough as nails endgame level challenges to rival the Valkyries of 2018, but I'm gonna let you find out what those are for
Let's
yourself.
go. I
There's
wonder
a
if they'll bring
substantial
back
slew
the
of collectibles
Valkyries,
to clean up as
or if
well,
they'll just
with
bring
Odin's
back
ravens, puzzle chests, artifacts,
that
and much
fights
more
like
to
the
find in
Valkyries?
every corner. There's a ton
don't
to
know
be
how
done
they're
after the
gonna
main story has
approach
been brought to a close, all of it incredibly Moorish and fun to complete. Ragnarok never once rests on its laurels, throwing new ways to play at you until the very end. Despite having a seemingly endless amount to praise here, I really have barely scratched the surface of what God of War Ragnarok has to offer. I'm deliberately omitting dozens of secrets and surprises. I wouldn't dare spoil what's to come for anyone booting it up for the first time, but rest assured there are both huge story moments and fresh gameplay additions that live up to and often surpass expectations. Taken all together, much like The Godfather Part 2, God of War Ragnarok delivers not only a chapter that reaches the lofty heights of its predecessor, but leaves it impossible to imagine the series without it. An enthralling spectacle to behold, and an even more exciting one to take the reins of, God of War Ragnarok melds action and adventure together to create a new, unforgettable Norse saga. Impeccable writing, pitch-perfect performances, knockout action, it's a complete work of art from top to bottom. Reflecting its core themes, it's everything a sequel should be, respectful of its legendary lineage, but not afraid to take it to exciting new places. God of War Ragnarok is an almighty achievement, and creates a new high that makes many of its peers look positively mortal by
It's gonna be a
comparison.
sequel done right. Can't wait to get my hands
For
on
my
it,
full
bro.
written review, check out the article on IGN.com, and for
Let's
everything
go.
else God of War Ragnarok, stick with IGN.
Let's go. Thank you, PlayStation. Thank you, Sony Santa Monica. Woo! I am. My eyes don't show it, but my hype levels are. Oof. I'm just trying to stay composed for stream's sake. How do I end my share screen? There we go. Can end the share screen. But yeah, hopefully you guys are also excited for Ragnarok. Like I've always mentioned on this channel, God of War is my favorite franchise growing up. Back from the PlayStation 2 days. You can probably see Kratos in the background over there, right above me, Kratos and Atreus. Although this one is more prominent, Arthur. Arthur and John are more prominent. But yeah, can't wait for this game to come out. I will be streaming it on the channel. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll also play in between that. I'll play The Devil and Me, and then the Callisto Protocol is on December. I keep looking to the left because this is my first time using Melon to do one of these things, so I'm always worried whether or not it's actually showing me on the live screen thing. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I can't wait for the game. We will be playing all 3 of them, and I say 3 because again, Ragnarok goes first, The Devil in Me will come up second, and then the Callisto Protocol will be in the December part. But I think I'm going to take my time with Ragnarok, so by the time Callisto Protocol drops, I'm not going to have finished Ragnarok anytime soon, because we'll take our time. That's the one mistake that I did with 2018, the first time I played it. Even though I didn't play it for the channel, I did record it the same way I recorded my Uncharted, where I was trying to like rush through the game and then do all the puzzles and everything afterwards. But we'll probably try do as much of like completing the realms before we move on to the next realm, of course within the restrictions of like the story and the progression and everything. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay dangerous. Peace out.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball. I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up. I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless. Yeah, I got next up, right? No, we not the same.